I cannot afford it, I cannot do it, even if I have a billion and billion. You see?
What does that mean? Even if I have a billion?
A conman in a suit will be more successful than a professor in a jersey.
You see, America, we tip. When I'm talking about tipping, we tip. If I go and eat food somewhere, a restaurant, if I don't tip, I will actually feel very, very bad. Not Kenyans. You guys don't tip.
Kenyans tip, actually.
Oh, coins. Kenyans don't tip for
Hey wadau mazi, kumbe there's a role culture plays in whether some people make money or not. So this was said by Gabriel Maketh when he first appeared on the show, and we just had to follow up.
Juxtapose that with what he said, the Nilotic problem. Most of the Bantu-speaking language, we are cultivators. So we are stingy because our cycle of fortune comes after a long time.
Sasa leo tuko na power panel na tunataka dive deep into this conversation. We brought on the show our man Jojo Showkali. My people, my people.
My grandfather told me, there is no much money that a woman and alcohol cannot finish. No much money. And you, my brother, I know kissy people who got style. I got in America, even here, who are spendthrift. Wanatumia, wanamwaga, wanakula pesa na materials.
Na bila kusahau the man himself, incoming senior counsel and advocate of the High Court, Frank Otieno Mokaya. Can you escape the status game?
Now, the other day we were with you. I introduced myself to some of your people as a lawyer. And I had to say, Akia Mungu, so I mean, why? I was in some tracksuit, some sleeveless shirt.
And Regan laughed.
Yeah, and Regan laughed. Akasema, ukweli kambia Google me. Then he Googles me and then he finds my profile.
Yes.
So money mimics competence.
And of course, we have the man himself, Gabriel Maketh, who I can say inspired this episode.
Group of gorillas, they were being freed. The gorillas came back. I think there were about 7 people, about 5 Rwandese and 2 American. So before the gorilla went to the wild, he came back and hugged the 2 white ladies and walked away.
That's not racism.
It's not, he's a monkey. So how can he's a gorilla?
I'm your host, Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Kama hauja subscribe, this right here is another reason to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. Alafu, if you like the location where this has been done, remember this is Wojo, Nairobi, located in Upper Hill. Ukitaka ofisi, if you're looking for a space yenye unaweza express as far as an office is concerned, hautaki kwenda kutafuta place ati sijui uende ulipe goodwill nini. Everything you require as far as an office is concerned, Wojo wamekutengenezea na wako na very affordable rates, commensurate to the services they are offering. Asante sana for making time for us, Mazi. I think this conversation starts from a comment Gabriel made on our show when you appeared on the first episode that we featured you. And he said that he made a comment that has been living rent-free in my head about Nilots looking at money inwardly, like culturally. And you went through an explanation, how culture influences wealth or poverty. In fact, the influence of culture on wealth creation. And it was interesting to see that comparatively, there's a certain trend in certain community in how they treat money, such that the people who interact with money differently are the so-called outliers. And when I shared this story with you, Mokaya, you mentioned that even from the background you come from, money, you've been trained to look at money as a shameful thing.
Yes.
Able to take us through that for a bit.
So socially, money is embarrassing. Embarrassing in this sense. Number one, people without it think there's a justification why they don't have it. People with it tend to hide it a little bit. Because of this, number one, money isolates you. Let's say if you come with a big car and park in let's say a bus station, let's say bodabodas are parked there, these guys will not interact with you. They'll wait for you to talk to them. So if you want to interact with them on that level, you'll find somebody, if you leave the car somewhere, just walk there, you'll have a more freer kind of conversation. So you'll find people will tend to have, let's say, people will tend to look like their environment. So if number one, you have money, the other generation, that's the generation before us, if somebody had money, you'll hear somebody has flats elsewhere, but at home they just have a modest house that looks like their neighbors. Why? They want to gel in. And if they dare look more progressive than everybody else, people will think there's something they're doing wrong, or there's something they're not telling them. So somehow you'll find people used to hide money a lot. Some people say because they're afraid of black magic, but I think it's because they're afraid of isolation. Money elevates you to a moment, to a level where you are de-associated with everybody else. So that kind of modesty that we want to be equal,
Yes.
people will have cars and lease them elsewhere,
Yes.
so that they come and so that they are able to gel with everybody. So for me, I look at it as money socially makes you awkward.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think there's also something I attribute to you. In that show, you mentioned something along the lines of like communities, how Kenyan communities come together, the communities that are able to pool resources together and do something. And then you mentioned Kisses, for example, which is the community Mokaya comes from.
Yeah.
And now it hit me that the Kisi community, you don't hear people associating them with wealth a lot. Like, oh, Kisis are the Dons, Z. You never hear that. Do you think what Mokaya says can be attributed to the idea playing low?
Yeah. So it come to my attention what the Kisis are doing. I don't know if it is something that has been existing for many generations, but it's something that going to show over time, whereby they are pulling resources to transform themselves and transform their societies. Yes. In African societies, it depends where you're coming from. There are some communities that show a little bit more.
Yes.
There are some communities that play it modest.
Yes.
So it basically it come from the background of the community that people come from. So, but what is the most important is the intention. It's not just the sake of having money, but what is the intention of that money that are being collected. There's what we call in America a rule of 2080. Rule of 2080 said 80% of the outcome of anything, it is because of the 20% of action that are taken. For example, if you see a country like Kenya, 80% of our taxes, they come from almost 20% of the population. If you go to a place like a jail, for example, 80% of the budget from the judiciary system is being spent on 20% of the criminal because of the level, whether it's a security or how they are. So it's called a rule of 2080. So now when it comes to in the form of
Pareto principle.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when it comes down now to the idea of social transformation, if 20% of the society focus and be intentional, whatever can be done by that 20% can transform the 80% of the whole society. So when these cultures, like whether we are talking about the Lilot culture or maybe the Bantus culture, where people are trying to be modest, if we are not creating an environment whereby this 20% can act as a group, it will be a little bit difficult to see the impact in the long run over time.
Okay. Jojo Showkali, I don't know kama Wakenya wamepata chance to experience your wisdom and the experience that you speak with, and I hope this conversation will be a highlight how a community interacts with money. What has been your experience?
Wow, thanks for preparing the show
Correct.
and everything. Thank each and every guest who has attended this. Dr. Kingoli, you are touching on a very important subject.
Thank you.
And before I came here, I was at Riverwood. and I was behind the streets. And it's interesting. We have a very interesting society. First of all, like in America, you can see some things, and they, you wonder what are they doing? Like someone will buy a car, an ordinary car, remove the ordinary wheels, buy wheels twice the size of the original, just be driving around and be seen, and be seen, but you're not being seen as rich. You are being seen as, you're following you don't want to be different. Back in my village, a lot of experiences. There's this guy who was called Kyoboyo. Kyoboyo was a stingy man. He's just stingy, known to be stingy. Such that when he went to a doctor one time, a tooth was aching, right? And, his teeth kept aching one by one, and he would go to a doctor. The doctor would charge him like 800 shillings. And he went there like 3 times. And the time the 4th teeth was aching, he asked the doctor, how much is it going to cost to remove this one teeth? Daktari akasema 800 shillings. He was so mad. He has spent so many stitches. He don't want. And he asked the doctor, and how much is it going to cost to remove all of them? The doctor said 800. Your boy said remove all of them.
He wants to close the deal once and for all.
Yeah, so I've come across experiences of money in Kenya and in America. But this is the arena where a lot of lies, a lot of assumptions come. But we are also talking about happiness. Happiness is completely attached to what we are talking about today. Because we have made money a god. We have made money. What I would tell Kenyans is this in the world. Please, learn how to dissociate yourself from money. Because we have come to a point where we believe in money so much that once it runs out, you are left with very few options. And a lot of people commit suicide. I have seen it. But at the same time, our brother here was talking about, when someone, you know what, there is not a definite point where you can say someone is rich.
Yes.
Or where you can say someone has money.
Yes.
So it's a chase. It's a game. It's patapotea. And what I would like to talk about is the effect of these lies on us. It's like drinking alcohol and you get drunk. And there's a lot of things I see people drinking. Religion, I see people drinking religion and actually getting drunk. And once you don't understand money, you live in the bubble.
And do you think there's a cultural influence to how your community believes or perceives money to how you as an individual perceive money?
Jojo Showkali, especially because, I live in a lot of Kenyas. There's a lot of Kenya. It's not one Kenya. When I go to Magechagi, I see how people live. When I come to Lavington, I see how people live. When I go to Los Angeles, in America, I see how people live. Here's the funny thing. People in Lavington or people in Upper Hill are the most deceived people about money. The effect of a car. A car is a status of money. You have money. But I'm coming from downtown and I'm coming on a bike and it's raining and I love it so much. The rain is not that bad. But people will stay hours and hours in traffic day after day after day to just hang on to that car. It's like Kenyans and a lot of people in America, in the developed world, they are trying to put their car in themselves.
But from that example, it's not a difficult choice between being late and getting pneumonia.
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not getting pneumonia, but I'm seeing the stupidity of people being in a traffic jam. Time for a car is over, but we look at it like someone is rich. And you're going to be deceived with this You're going to be lane does not lane, come on. Lane does not lane all the time. But there's sitting in the traffic for 2 hours. You're losing time. And you're losing time and you're losing money.
That unaona, from that example, my first meeting with Gabriel, and as we progress to know each other, Gabriel drives like the car you are using that day is a very simple car.
Yeah,
right?
Still Southside now.
Yeah, yeah, a very simple car, right? And someone wouldn't know the resources you control as a person. How do you arrive? Because Jojo said that someone buys a car, and on top of the car that you bought, like the wheels that it has, that's not enough. And I come across a clip where someone was explaining that when people do this, when you put wheels on your car, like shiny rims, you're not putting them for you. You're putting it for other people to see outside, right? What influences your choice to decide to drive a simple car, before we come back to Jojo, to drive a simple car, right? And you're not using this as a status symbol to show the resources that you control. How do you manage that, the feeling?
Well, being born in South Sudan,
Yes.
the first time I traveled by car was around 1996, and it was a lorry. So there is a certain level of humbleness the life I've gone through has also installed in me. So with the resources I'm controlling, I also have to live within my means. If I cannot afford it, I cannot do it, even if I have a billion and billion, you see.
What does that mean? Even if I have a billion?
And billion that I'm controlling that are not mine. Yeah, that are not mine, I'm just managing them. And even if I have, my view is that transportation is supposed to take you from point A to point B.
Okay.
And that comes back to the idea we were talking on our first show with the issue of livelihood. I usually say there's African problem and there's a livelihood problem. And the reason is we put so much on status recognition. We need to be recognized. But to the point that we forgot about what is the purpose of what we do. And those purposes sometimes, they don't have to be shown on display. They can be cultivated a little bit slowly to the point that they transform society. I know you live long enough whereby you see so many regimes in Kenya. There are some time whereby in Kenya there were some very powerful ministers, very powerful men. Those men, they are not here today. And even whatever empire they built, they crumble because the intention was not right. It was just a matter of showing their status. You see the day Mzee anakufa, that is the day whereby the family become bankrupt because we have not taught ourselves on how do we build something that have a deeper meaning, a deeper intention. We only build something of status to show off. And if we have not spent enough time to be able to do that, and then whatever we have invested for all those years, it ends up in shame. There are some politicians in Kenya that are not here today, but at the time, even their own children, they could not even take inheritance because they are not even proud of what was built. You see,
Yes,
and those are the challenges. So that mindset of the wealth and the longevity of it is something that needs to be balanced a little bit carefully.
Okay. Mokaya, Jojo Showkali, I have not discussed your car with him. Mokaya has the saloon car with the biggest wheels. I think the first time I pay attention to your wheels, I was like, no, wait. No. Like a saloon car, yenye, the wheels ni kama za lori. And I think we touched on that kidogo, and before we close that conversation, and the nature of the job you do. Like there's this thing, like there's status, and then there is the kind of clients you represent. You cannot show up with something that is not that. Would you, out of simplicity, like I'm sure Gabriel would come in a wheelbarrow and he wouldn't care. Okay? Would you show up in a wheelbarrow and be sure that, like, what's the line? Can I show up in a wheelbarrow as long as it's a means of transport, nimefika, but I'm bringing my mind? Can you escape the status game?
Now, the other day we were with you. I introduced myself to some of your people as a lawyer, and I had to say, "Aki ya Mungu, I swear, I mean why? I was in some tracksuit, some sleeveless shirt,
And Regan laughed.
Yeah, and Regan laughed. Akasema, "Ukweli nikamwambia Google me." Then he Googles me, and then he finds my profile.
Yes.
So money mimics competence. I'll say that again. Money mimics competence. In every aspect. When you have money, somebody believes you are good at something, and that's why you are paid that much. And any show of it impresses a future client. That's why they'll tell you a con man in a suit will be more successful than a professor in a jersey. Yeah. So, and that goes. So a client will want to look like what a vendor will want to look like what the client expects. If there's a joke, they say that ukienda kwa hotel usikie rumba inacheza kwa mbali, please omba bill kwanza before ukule. Same thing, there's somewhere you go and then you are like, hey, hapa nitalipa. So as a lawyer, you'll want to be in a suit, because then money mimics competence. Even when you are daft in a suit, you look like you know what you're doing, because people look at you before they listen to you. So your lawyer comes in a boda boda. No offense to our boda boda people, because once I've seen you, then I'll want to save time and come in a boda. But if I come in a small car wearing a t-shirt, I'm coming to pitch as a lawyer to you so that you can hire my services. Then I quote $1 million. What will you think? Umeona hapa ndio natajirikia. You get? But if I pull up in a proper $10,000, $100,000 car in a silk suit, even before I say a word, you have sized me, you have said, if this guy bills me $1 million, I'm lucky. So again, how you package yourself dictates how much you're gonna be paid. Again,
do you struggle? Good point. Yeah. But do you struggle to balance between the need to show up versus the cultural influence that has been ingrained in you that money is shameful?
Now, again, I'll go back to what when I'm in Nairobi, you are freer, because then you can dissolve easily. You are not the biggest boy, so you can be opulent and still dissolve in the crowd. But if you get to, let's say, where I come from, Nyacheki, with a Toyota 100, you're among the 1%. So it again hives you off from society. You said about my community, Omogusi, being clustered together. Like if one guy comes to Minnesota, in next 2 weeks, you'll find us 100 of us there. That now shamefulness is what we try to run away from. We believe like you're not rich enough until everybody around you is. So that I don't hide my money, it's my responsibility to make sure everybody has, so that I don't have to look different.
Okay.
So that's how you find, he says you'll never know whether people from Momogusi community have money, because we don't show it until all of us have it. Then you don't have a license to show it. That's why Rongai is full of our brothers. You find something good, it's your responsibility to bring everybody on board, that you can be able to flaunt it, because there's no reason of flaunting what you have if all of you are not okay.
Okay.
And that is how we have been raised. So you'll find us clustering a lot together. You'll find us contributing a lot towards uplifting each other. And that's a culture that, so if everybody doesn't have it, you better don't show it to them.
Okay.
So we are buying freedom by trying to be that communal.
I before we come to Jojo Showkali, I don't understand this unspoken language. Yeah, before everybody has, right? You don't show it.
Yeah.
So now, are the people, and this goes to different communities, but for the sake of this, let me be a devil's advocate. Do you have cases of people talking about witchcraft in a community? If there's this sense of oneness, who gets bewitched? The one who shows off ama there is a select people. Like, how do you behave for you to be bewitched? If there is hii kitu ya oneness, what is the trap
There's
for
also
bewitching?
another flip story, yeah? There's the African story that we are taught by the colonial man.
Yes.
When the colonizer came, he picked one African and made him too big so that he can administer the other. Then so we believe that there is a single story to success. So you want to believe that if there is one A student in a village, that is it. There will not be another. So then there is that belief that if you are that chosen one, you have to be very careful or else somebody bewitches you.
Okay.
So the tragedy of a single story. Do we believe that all of us can be successful? Normally not. So when you see somebody has bought a car, you're like, oh my God, this village was supposed to have one car and that guy has it.
Okay.
So all of us will never have it.
Okay.
Juxtapose that with what he said, the Nilotic problem. Most of the Bantu speaking language, we are cultivators. So we are stingy because our cycle of fortune comes after a long time. Maize takes like 6 months to mature. So we'll be careful with what we have now. So we'll spend less because, again, we are waiting for maize after 6 months, which nature can still wipe away. So we are very careful with what we have. We don't spend it as much. We don't show it as much because our cycle culturally was unpredictable. Now
That's
with
an interesting
you,
concept.
Aluo knows I'll eat all my fish today and still go to the lake, I'll get more fish. So that speaks to why Igbos and these Nilotes, you can be flashy as you want because your cycle was daily. You can go cattle rustle and get more. You didn't have a waiting period. So that explains why Luos could be more flashy. Kisses will be a billionaire and still live modest because, again, we are cultivators. Our tomorrow is not guaranteed.
I've never thought of it from that perspective.
Now you do.
And Jojo also comes from a community, the mountain, where you guys have been credited. In fact, I dare say about someone shared with me a story of a lady who sadly passed away in her home in one of the city slums. Let me not mention because probably people know the story. And out of the shanty that she used to live in, they found 3 million shillings in cash. What is this the same principle to live like that? Like, uko na pesa, lakini you will never show, right? What is the end goal of accumulation, right? And when you think, when you really think about it, how can you show, like, how do you get to show money without showing money?
There is something we call attention deficit disorder. That is a disease that is with a lot of people. And it is manipulated through advertising, through everything that you are seeing every day. Chinese are the people who are known for saving money. Americans, they just spend it. They will spend what they're going to eat tomorrow or the next day. And they like to spend not their money. Like now, interesting, America owes China more than $2 trillion in debt. Now, Kikuyu, the mountain, we have a similar thing as the Chinese people, as far as money is concerned. But I don't want to generalize. That is the most people. That's why you find a lot of the business people here are Kikuyus, especially in Nairobi. And not just here, in a lot of places in Kenya. They have this thing of going to get it and not use it, going to build a very nice house and renting it and going to live in Majengo.
Yeah.
Because this attention deficit disorder, it's a problem. And this problem comes when people drunk. If you go to the bar or when someone is drunk, that is when you see the attention deficit disorder. They don't stop talking. They just talk like there is nobody else allowed there. This attention deficit disorder, if you don't control it, it's very dangerous because it's driven by money. When you have money, you can't keep quiet. You change all of a sudden. But when we are out here, I want to mention something he said about suit wearing and being seen as someone who can do business of a lot of money, earning the trust. The suit is one of the biggest tools of capitalism. The suit. And in America, I've driven a BMW, a Mercedes. Like driving a car in America is not a big deal. You don't have to be genius to drive a good car. But suit wearing is something that if you wear a suit on the street, you can end up losing your teeth. We look at it like, oh my God, he's wearing a suit. What is he trying to show? So people do businesses in shorts. I do business on my computer with my bag in shorts. And I might be, doing a business of like $50,000. Could be cash. This thing of the suit is some of the things that go together with money, and it's very good for lying. It's very good for you playing your patapotea. You're going to convince people. But this generation, we are throwing the suits away. Look at your employees. It's something that, like for me, I come to your shows in a suit. But wearing suits on the streets, oh my God. Or even in my businesses, this is one of the things that Gen Z is trying to get rid of. The suit. Because it has contributed to so many problems.
So culturally, before we get to Gen Z, culturally, from your community, how do you explain, that concept of attention deficit disorder is one way into it,
yes,
right? But what is the essence of accumulation? Like, why would you have money and not spend it?
Because tomorrow, and this is what usually happens, 90% of the current millionaires in America, this is a research I have done, they did not get it from inheritance. These are people who started with zero, from rags to riches. The reason we are accumulating money is because we have seen it. Like me personally, I have worked in the gardens, I've worked for people, I've done very odd jobs. I have fear of going back to, we have fear, we are driven by fear. I have fear of going back to that situation. That's why, if I get it when I get it, I know I'm not gonna get it any other time. So I have to save it and forget, because you know what? And then we get a lot of advice from the old people. My grandfather told me, there is no much money that a woman and alcohol cannot finish. No much money. And you, my brother, I know kissy people who got style. I got in America, even here, who are spendthrift. Wanatumia, wanamwaga, wanakula pesa na materials. So the kizzy you are saying, you're talking about even in Minnesota. I go to Minnesota all the time. I have not seen the kizzy you are saying that they are not spendthrift. My friends who are kizzy, boys who drive Mercedes. Not even Mercedes. They're balling. They're balling as hell. I think you are talking about something of the past. The world is changing.
Rudi hapa nyuma kidogo. How do you arrive at, how does your grandfather arrive at telling you that there is no amount of money that a woman and alcohol cannot finish? And what do you learn from that?
It's coming from when people have money. You see, you never miss water until the well runs dry. We could sit here, talk about how we treat money, how we behave about money. This is what happens. But when you don't have money, and by the way, there's something you were saying about, when we are talking about money here, Warren Buffett say, before you have enough money, don't come and bring that theory and that psychology. Getting back to you. My grandfather had seen it. They have seen it. When people have money, when you have money, you are King Oli. When you are broke, you are King Oli. or it's vice versa. King only when you have money. Even my nephews and nieces. Someone gets a loan, or you just, have a nice day, you get money. The mind is completely a different person from the person who did not have money. They change completely. And as soon as you change completely, you get into screwing yourself up. So there is two different people. Kengori with money, Kengori with no money.
Doesn't your mindset matter? Do you have people who have a mindset to be spendthrifts, and do you have people who've been trained, like culturally, for example, to treat money differently, whether you have it or not? Do you know there are people who you will never know whether they have money or not?
Usually people who have grown poor, people, through themselves, have come from nothing. These people really excel in life. But the spoon-fed people, that's why I'm saying 90% of the millionaires in America, they are people who came from rags. That's where we are. When you get money, you change.
Okay. So, Gabriel,
Yeah.
there is something you mentioned which sounds like a success story from Mokaya, that when we find something good, we bring in people, and until everyone has, you can't show it. When you were on the show the last time, you mentioned something. The problem, in your context, it was a problem. When Nilots, when someone makes it, right, everyone will feed off him, right, until they are all equal now. They all don't have.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and the concept Mokaya explains?
So we as Lilot,
Yes.
we are socialists by nature.
Socialist. Yes.
But most of the Bantus, they make socialism with some level of capitalism.
Okay.
And this habit, or you call it cultures, sometimes they show up unknowingly, no matter how world is changing and no matter where we go. I think you saw on the internet days in Rwanda, whereby a group of guerrillas, they were being freed. The guerrillas came back. I think there were about 7 people, about 5 Rwandese and 2 American. So before the guerrilla went to the wild, he came back and hugged the 2 white ladies and walked away. This was a lady named Dr. Jean Goodall. He's a researcher. The reason is the way we, the African, we relate to the animal culturally is not the same way the white relate to the animal culturally. If you see the Rwandese, they were the one doing the hard work. They were the one feeding, taking care of. But in their view, they see they are just taking care of animal and they are being paid to do the job. But for the 2 white ladies, that absolute love and the bonding with the animal. That is why they love all the way to America to come and save the animal in Rwanda. It's something that in their culture. So although the animal cannot talk, the animal can send that. The animal can be able to relate to that.
That's not racism.
It's not. It's a monkey. So how can it's a gorilla? It's a gorilla. So wherever we go, these unconscious cultures in us, they are always inside us. So now in 21st century, so the question we have to ask ourselves, with these cultures and diversity we have, what work better for tomorrow? What work better for a larger population? And those are the things that we need to reinforce and we need to support. In Nakuru, I have some of my relatives that work with me. And I have a cousin and I have my nephew. So one time my cousin came to me and she said, hey, can you help me? I have a school I want to go to. I want you to cut half of my salary and then until it's paid off and pay my school. And then I said, that's really very good idea. I said, so what I will do, I will just pay your school altogether. And what made me happy is because he knows it is his obligation to take care of himself. I can only give him tools an opportunity to do it. About 6 months later, my nephew come to me, and he has been working. He is a student. He has been working three months straight. He came to me with a bill of about 8,000 Kenya shilling, and he said, "Uncle, can you pay for me this?" Then I say, "No, I don't have money." These are two family relatives. The reason why I say no to this gentleman is because he has been working. He doesn't have a family. He has been working for 3 months. So why is it my money that I want to be paid the school for while you're making money and you're not paying for? I was able to pay for the other guy because he took his personal responsibility, that his life is his responsibility. So I can only come as a support system. And these are the small transformation we need to change them sometimes because they come out unconsciously, you know. It's just like where in America where there's this transgender thing and men become women. There are sometimes men who become women, sometimes they forget and the man voice come out accidentally. That is how culture is.
Yes,
They
yes,
come
yes,
out
yes.
sometimes accidentally without us knowing. But we have to find a way to suppress some of the culture that pulled us down. Like now, what he said about the Kisi community. Now they need to go a little bit one step further for them to be able to be successful. So if they have managed the idea whereby they pull themselves together where everybody will be successful, is there also a possibility whereby those people can be able to build a network and build a foundation that when their next generation, their next kin gonna come, they can be able to stand on that instead of starting fresh or go and start with other strangers? That is the continuity we need to start doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Do you feel obligated? You come from like humble background, yes? A very humble background. Do you feel obligated to give? Okay, I think that's a different context. What's your understanding of the concept of black tax from a community perspective?
So, from my community, there is what we call collective pride. How you are as good as your people. The burden falls normally on the first male child. You'll realize, I think, and again, I want to be very careful with this statement. Not what I'm saying is culturally right to as much as people know. So the new age sons of Omogusi will be a bit flamboyant because again there's that normal liberalism, but again you'll want to know what is there's something queer about whatever you see flamboyant, either where the field they work in, number one, number two, they are what they are doing. So back to your question, most families, the generation behind us, most Kisi families were African families, so to speak, were polygamous. Most of the time, you'll find the father was very keen on pushing the firstborn to wherever he could get to, either firstborn by birth or structural firstborns. If the firstborn by birth is not as good as the father wanted, he'll elect a firstborn. You'll find firstborns went to masters, PhD. The dad will really push them. Why? Because they knew once this one has gotten to that height, that family is successful. Because that firstborn came with the responsibility to make sure everybody in that family has got to their best.
Yes.
So the firstborn who took that job seriously, you'll find their whole families. That's why you find some families in Kisii, they are all doctors, they are all successful because that was the intention. And immediately the firstborn has finished, that father is done with that how he'll go marry another woman, start afresh. And then, yes, that's why you'll come to realize most second wives are at the age of the first daughter of the first house. Yeah, because that's how family was raised. So as a either firstborn in your family or firstborn among your friends, it is your responsibility to equalize. And now, then it's the most selfish thing you can ever do. Yes, my father told me that if you are too selfish, then make sure your siblings don't come to eat in your house.
If you're too selfish,
yes, make sure your siblings don't come to eat in your house.
they have the
Their own
resources to
food.
eat
So
in
when
their
you
own
see,
houses.
so when you see my brothers from my community try to pull each other up, it's because they're selfish enough that they don't want you to come and eat in my house. And I'll put that in context. If you ask around, there's a name he threw around called stingy. Stingy is not broke.
Stingy is not broke.
You have, you don't want to give. That's what they call stingy. So it means whoever wants things from you does not have, but he expects that you give them. So there's a difference between stingy and broke. So in the just pick a simple example. All matatus to Kisii are full. There's no season that there is peak and no peak. People ask, Wakisii wanaendanga wapi? Yes. We are running around making money. But again, you won't see it in our lifestyle. Yeah? Yes. Most matatus you learn in this town, most circles, close to 50% are owned by our people.
That's what I was shocked to
learn. Yeah,
Isli,
we run Isli, we learn Embasava, some part of Metro. Oh, I'm doing an advert now.
No, it's okay.
Cut that. So, but we don't show it. And my uncle called Freddy has like 4 matatus in a circle that goes to Karen. But he still lives the house he was living when he didn't have a single car.
Okay.
Yes. So there is that aspect of he doesn't want to lose his place in the society that he has friends. So he has now 4 matatus. He moved to Lavington. What about the people, his colleagues when he was a staff member at G4S as a guard?
Would you rather be stingy or be broke?
You see, by stingy means you have, only that the broke person who wants to tarnish you don't want to give them. So everybody you see trying to uplift their brothers from my community, they are not selfish. No, they're selfish, they are not stingy.
They're selfish, they are not stingy.
Yes, they're selfish enough to make sure I'll make you eat in your house. Don't come to eat in my house.
So this is like a good kind of selfish.
Yes, I'll make sure you know what you're doing. You have food in your house so that you don't come to eat mine. And that is the spirit around most families in my community. The firstborn will make sure everybody is eating in their own house.
Does that come with an expectation of, like, I make sure you eat in your house, but just in case things go wrong in my end, I'll come eat in your house?
No, I'll send you to your mother at home.
There is no reciprocity.
No.
There is no expectations that I helped you, you have to help me back.
So normally how we are brought up is firstborn gets all the respect and nothing else. All the siblings get providence from their firstborn or their families and give out respect. So you'll find there are more successful siblings who are younger, but the firstborn controls everything else. Because again, see, you got from
It's like
me.
Power without money.
Yes. So that is how now our society is structured.
Okay.
You have a duty to make sure all your brothers, but it's not like it could be not be practiced right now, but you won't sit pretty when your brother is suffering. That's how we were brought up.
Okay.
And culturally, I believe it's uniform in all Omogusi everywhere. That's why you'll find most estates, when you see one Kisii, expect 100 in 5 days. If you see one Kisii in Minnesota, you'll see them. That's why we have a politician who won an election there. Chances are, their people went there, they got him there.
These stereotypes are interesting. Actually, once, you know, my when you see one, I'm coming to the children thing. When you see one Kisii, expect 100 the next day. It has worked against me at some point. No, for real.
We are sorry.
My kids are half Somali. So one time, a place I used to live, I'm like, someone was looking for a house. And then my friend tells me to my face, hapa hatuwezi kubali wa Somali wakae. And I felt for my baby, unajua? Yeah, I was like, yeah. So it means that I can live here, but my kid can't.
So not like that necessarily. Our people don't guard. There's a village in Kisii town called Nubi, and there are Nubians there. We have never reminded them that they are Nubians. We integrate a lot.
Okay.
But again, we don't we are not exclusionists.
I understand.
It's out of love that you want your brother to benefit from what you have, so that you don't have to hide it when you see him.
Okay.
And that's why you'll find, if I can't help you, I can't show you what I have.
Okay.
And unless I give you, I can be able to share with you.
Okay.
That's when I can show it to you.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. So it's good that we tumeingia hapo kwa watoi children, and this, I think I'll be very interested to hear all your opinions on this. There's a statement I had which was very philosophical, and I love philosophical vibes, that people who have money have a small number of children, or a few kids who they can take care of. And people without money have as many kids as possible to bet on who will take care of them as parents. What's the relationship between your community and the number of children you can have in regards to wealth creation?
I'm not sure that I'm the best representation of a Kikuyu community, but you
remember we have another conversation that you're supposed to represent.
Sure, a very nice one.
So you have to represent.
Oh, you know what we do.
Okay.
Yeah? We inject.
Okay.
Anyway, I think I see, changes have come, and I have seen, like me growing up in America, in my youth, I have seen, whether it's a Kisi or Kikuyu, I think there is this thing of fewer children. Because also, nature has changed a lot. Things have changed. And I also know a guy who is almost a billionaire up in Uganda. He has 8 wives. And he has built a house for each and every one of them. I think the thing with children is it comes from what you are taught by your community. My community and where I am, communities evolve. My grandfather had 38 wives.
Your grandfather had 38 wives.
38 wives. And he was so arrogant in the way he lived, because every woman, he could only give him the dad and the mother. And he was known for saying in Kikuyu, jiarire maitu na awa. Asiagethi ugaciarire kundu kungi.
Translating to?
You know what? The only people I can create is my mom and my dad, because in Kikuyu community, the first son is named your father. The first daughter is named the mother. So basically, one wife, 2 kids, no more. Another wife, 2 kids. And this is what? We are talking about the 50s.
And he gave them a pass that he only wants 2 children, you can go get the others.
Oh yeah, he did not care. He did not care about that. And and I'm talking about a very senior person in the history of making Kenya, Wabogo Madhangani. He died in 1959, before Kenyatta came out. They were like this with Kenyatta and Koinange. So you see, that someone, all he wanted was 2 kids. Yet, my mom has 8 kids. You see? 8 kids. And, she brought all of them up, from heart to mouth. Personally, I have 2 kids. And, I think it's that evolution. I don't see the point of having another kid, whether I become rich or not.
You wouldn't want to continue the legacy, like double the number your mom gave, like multiplication, the law of multiplication.
I am not a rabbit like that.
Okay, because of what influences your decision, like capitalism or culture or personal choices?
I don't want to go back to diapers, bro. I don't want to go back to diapers. And,
that's so it's your pocket.
Yeah, and then the kids who are there, I need to give them more time. I don't even have enough time for them. I need to give them more time. And I want to be closer to them. And then there is a man who told me, this man, his work until he died was shaku burning. He see a tree that you had, and nobody is taking care of where the tree was cut. What do you call that in English?
Stump. Tree
The
stump.
stump. Oh my God, he see a tree stump. He see charcoal. So this guy, one time I was 10 years old, I asked him, hey, Warroad, why do you marry women and then they stay for 1-2 months, they are gone? Because he was notorious for that. You marry them today, after 3 months, they are gone. He told me, Kalicho, how old are you now?
10.
I told him 10. He told me in Kikuyu, ndakuhe miaka itandatu ni kuona ngoma iria ikoragwo na andu aya. This guy is telling me, I'm giving you some few more years. And even in your teenage, you're going to see the madness that women have. So don't come here asking me the reason why I kick them out so often. So at the same time, there is, and this is the biggest drug, the biggest alcohol that can confuse you for your rest of your life. It's but we don't talk about it. I have seen men become useless because of I want to be myself, okay? I don't want to be running around doing something for somebody. The decision for me, to have a woman now, go have another kid, oh Lord, I came out of that. I don't want to go back to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sawa. Gabriel, do you think there's a direct relation between the number of children one can have? In fact, this is a personal wealth journey versus social responsibility from a community perspective, right? A community expects you to have as many children as possible, right? Your wealth, because I believe there's a direct correlations between the number of children you can take care of versus your wealth creation journey. Do you think there's a need for balance?
Well, I think that question is relative.
Yes.
Because it changed time to time. Myself, I came from a polygamous family.
Yes.
My dad had 5 wives, so I happened to be the last one of the third wife. So if I see that perspective, okay, if maybe I was in a culture that whereby we are restricted to one person or one wife, maybe the chances of me being me, I would not be born. So this is the system that brought me here.
Yes.
Because my mom would have married another person, but that would be a different human being. That would
100%, yes.
Yeah, that is the same thing. If you see like a generation of, let's take one famous person, Kenyatta. You cannot write the history of Kenyatta today without Uhuru in it. There's no way. What about if Kenyatta would have stopped number 1 and 2 there?
Yes.
So the older generation, it was used as a survival instinct, because at the time also there were no medicine, so a lot of children perished. So it's like you're gambling what you can be able to have and what can go away. So, but at this age, it's also become an issue of necessity. So I will not be able to definitely say the Western culture of doing it is the right one, or the African culture of doing it is the right one. It's always remain to be relative. If you can have so many children that you cannot be able to support,
yes,
that is a little bit selfish, because you are bringing the children to the world whereby the amount of resources you have for them will determine their success.
Okay.
Or whereby you say, you know what, I don't want to bother myself, because being a husband to one person is hard. Being a husband to 4 people is harder. Yes. you will be arguing every other day. So it depends with your mental capacity and your resources.
Okay.
I don't think that I can be able to declare one way or the other to say this system is better. It's just like comparing socialism and capitalism.
What I pick from that is survival has changed.
Yeah.
From survival of getting 6 children and hoping 2 will survive, versus now that was solved, the idea of the threat to life or infant mortality has been solved to a great extent. It means now survival is you can get the 2, they will be safe. So now you its survival for resources.
Yeah, and also the technology. I saw there was a case in the U.S. Whereby a family. I don't know what happened to the older children, but in 1992, they did IVF and they have embryo. So in 2002, they decide to have children again from those embryos. So, so this is whereby technology, whereby you can be able to have them and just put them out. If in your older age you want to reuse them again, you can have some more few. Even
We have actually
so
done
with
a
technology, technology has changed things as well.
We've actually done a documentary on that. It's up on our YouTube channel,
Yeah.
where you can actually have children created now,
Yeah.
but they can be launched 1,000 years from now.
Yeah.
Like they have a storage where they can store
Yeah, got it, yeah.
a kid conceived today,
Yeah.
1,000, 2,000 years.
Yeah.
They stored in liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact,
yeah.
Wiki will have that episode up so that people can actually
so
check it out.
those change have those changes of technology and stuff like that have changed our way, even our way of doing things.
Yes.
But coming back to what you were saying about his community and the concept of wealth,
Yes.
I don't know if you realize it. If you see leaders from Lailoti community that come to power, they don't impact their community the same way the people from the other Bantus community, when they have power, how they affect the people. Because as a Lailot, instead of come and set everybody and to have their own home and everybody understand they have responsibility to run their own affairs,
Yes.
I will bring everybody to my house. I will try to bring everybody to my house and try to spoon feed everybody. So when that power of mine collapsed, it collapsed with everybody that was around me. In comparison to the modality of the kisses. So even if I collapse myself and I have empowered the other people so they are standing on their feet,
Yes.
I'm not going to go down with 60 people. It will just be me, you see. And those small cultural differences, they make difference on the survival of any society.
I think that's a wonderful submission, Pierre.
Yeah.
So you love your daughter so much. In fact, I don't think I've seen anyone else you love kwa hii dunia more than he has a way of showing off. Like he has to actually put the screen on so that you can just see, and he has to reconfirm whether they look alike. So is there an effect? Do you also share in the same points that Jonah and Gabriel have in terms of like the reason we have children now and the relationship between having kids, how many kids you can have, and their impact on your journey for wealth creation?
So we live in stories of what we see or what we are told. My father-in-law was one among 13 children. So the grandmother of my wife used to get children, they die. He only survived. It's called, the name children like that were called is Keumbu. Keumbu means fertile area. Yeah, because
One of 13 children. And he was the only survivor.
The only survivor.
Lord have
Yeah, so the Keumbu is where mushrooms come out of, very fertile area. And they used to do something in their head. They used to do a ponytail to just protect the child from whatever had. So that informs the first stride of why the generations behind us had many children, so that they can maximize on the chances of survival. Also that bet that among the 13, all of them one must be successful. But now to our conversation, number one, the older generations, it was easy for a deadbeat to get away with being deadbeats, because our grandmothers used to cook a lot of porridge, they put it out there. So our kids, we were in the business of loitering. We play in your area, we'll eat there. We play in your house, next day we'll eat there. So there was a lot of communal raising of children. So even when you didn't have resources, somehow your kids will eat, somehow your kids will find somewhere to sleep. Yeah. But now in our kind of setting, you are responsible for your child. If there's no food in your house, your neighbor will throw away food and your child will go hungry. So it informs also the calculation on how many kids you can have the kind of life you want to put them into, and also how much time do you need for yourself, because also we're in the era of house helps. So how long can you how much attention can you give your child?
Okay.
Also, there's another story. For me, I believe also having many children in the other generation was not out of choice. It's out of the way of life. They say that the biggest innovation in empowerment of women was education. I differ. I think the biggest innovation in empowerment of women was birth control. Then it means women can choose when to have their children and when not to. Then they can have time for school, they can have time for career, they can have time to live their lives. So then with birth control, then there is education, there is career, there is choice of how to space their children, and so forth. So in the former generation before birth control, any encounter with the opposite sex meant you are in the process of getting children.
Yeah.
You get. So it means our grandmothers were either pregnant or getting pregnant. That's why you are told a woman had 13 children. It means from 16, 13 years are in 13 years are in pregnancy, which means by the time she's done with getting the last born, what stops her from getting children is menopause, 40. So let's say she was married at 20, 13 years, give her 1 year to breastfeed this one. You get. So it's a matter of empowerment, which is through birth control, the chances of survival of children. Also that today, I'm not living thinking that my child will feed me. There's pension schemes, there's a way we plan our lives. So how my child turns out really does not affect me. So I can have two, I can have one. Yes, and thanks for noticing that I love my daughter.
I think we can close this conversation on black tax, right? And this has been blamed for, it has been, poverty has been attributed to black tax, like in terms of the obligation and the entitlement of people to your money. Like it is like, for lack of a better word, the punishment of the people who have. Like there is, kuna hiyo social responsibility, but there's you have, I deserve that, right? How do you make a decision on whether you're going to help someone or not? Because you have.
Wow, that's a very tough question. When I have it, I make a decision based on a few things. One of them is the mood I have. The other one, I know helping comes back when I give. For example, the other day I met a woman, she was selling eggs. And I told her, the egg, she's just selling the eggs for 20. I told her everybody who was there, give them eggs. So she sold all her eggs. And I gave her like 700 shillings. She could not believe. She knelt down, and I cried too. Because, you see, you give, you feel good. There's a good feeling about you. But at the same time, there is someone who can come to you and, the nature, the style they asked for the help. You just feel like, you know what, it's not for me. But on that kind of a help, it usually comes back. Other times, I don't have. And if I don't have, like me, you see, I was running for Member of Parliament in Teto. So mostly if people see me at Geshagi, they'll be thinking I have something for them. And it's not just Geshagi, even here in Nairobi. Because, you live in America, so you have a lot of money. Sometimes when you don't have a celebrity who has no money, those are very, bad times because you feel bad yourself. Like you wanted to help them, but you can't. Look at you here. Now you can't even help yourself. I don't really understand what you're talking about by black tax.
Black tax is that entitlement that because you have, I deserve.
I think that's exactly what we were talking about.
Yes.
That happens a lot. But that happens in Kenya. That is in Kenya. In America, you are empowered to be independent. But step in Kenya, there is this thread of someone see, like when I live here and I go to Githurai, by the time I live here, the world will almost be turning me upside down to take every little thing I have in my pocket. From uh, from home, there'll be someone who's sitting there. Oh, they're looking at you. Like, and they're sizing you up. Does he have money or not? Like someone is planning for you even before you get there to get something from you. That culture is in Kenya. America, we don't have that culture. You really don't have to help no one.
Do you feel guilty, for example, when you're on the streets, you see a street family, you probably had not budgeted to give, and I think this is an ecosystem I've played at some point. You come from your place, you go park. In fact, in town, if you park in a street, and I think you've seen that, when you arrive there, you'll have to give something. When you come pick your car, you'll have to give something.
Yes, they want a little more. This is a disease that is in Kenya. Everybody wants a little more of, even when you pay them, they still want more. They want a little more of what they can get. We are very greedy. We don't get satisfied with what we have. But I understand what you're saying. They are coming, they are asking. Let me ask you, does this replicate in Lavington and in Upper Hill and in other areas? Or is it just at one downtown?
They have identified a market for that. And I think it's interesting that you brought up running for office. And you're also running for office. And by declaring that, you owe people money.
Yes.
By default.
By default.
Right? How do you feel about that? Like going to a place and people, like, if you're vying to bring impact to the community, but you have to pay for that. You have to pay people to serve them.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
So once you declare that you are going for office, and what they expect, you are rich, or at least you are liquid. So there is that expectation that you have something to give them, and that's why you declared your vying. But I also blame that on the leaders or politicians before us. That's their style they brought that into our politics. But again, think about it this way. You have called people to your meeting. They have left what they were doing. They have come to listen to you. It's your agenda. So I think there is that voter bribery. Also, there is that compensating people for leaving what they were doing. So there are two different things, but also understand where you come from. Whenever they see a car belonging to a politician, they expect you give them something. I'll want to think as that to take away the notion of black tax to a modern way of controlled generosity. If you give, you don't lack. But if you give like an idiot, of course you'll go broke.
What's the difference?
The difference is, it's okay to say you don't have. It's okay to say, I gave you yesterday, I won't give you today. Because again, if you give into debt, then what are you doing to yourself? That's why you learn that they say in this street that if a girl is married to a breadwinner, he'll be hated by everybody. She'll be hated by everybody. Why? She's that controlling the generosity of the husband. Because the wife will be telling you, hey, don't give that money, we don't have this. So you have to control your generosity. But you'll want to see the positive side of what you call black tax. It's not really black tax. The person giving could be getting blessings by what they are doing. Just look at people who give a lot. Most of the time, if it's controlled, they never lack. I don't know how it works, but I've tested it. I've been in the political arena for now. This is my second year. As you rightfully said, I'm vying for Bobasi MP. But I've never been stuck as much. There's something about giving that somehow, as he said, you never lack, but it has to be controlled. Again, you'll want to know the reason why M-Pesa fails elsewhere but succeeds in Kenya is black tax. That Kenyans nieke kwa hii number. You have to send something to your parent at home, your brother, your cousin, whoever. That is how M-Pesa works. Because in America, when you get your salary, you send no one. In the Western culture, when you get your money, it's your money. That's why M-Pesa does not work.
Umenishika na something I have to go research and respond with information. That can be an analogy to explain why M-Pesa as a money exchange platform has struggled. But diaspora people send money back to Kenya.
Yes, but all money sending solutions have to plug into M-Pesa. The reason why people come study M-Pesa, go try it elsewhere and it fails, is because there is no black tax. We send each other money.
You owe no one your money.
Yes, it's individualistic. In Kenya, we are communal. You can't sleep if your brother is angry. And that's the fabric behind why M-Pesa is magical. Kitambo, we used to give conductors and our people traveling home to take our parents' money. M-Pesa now is what is powered by black tax itself.
I would debate that differently because Jojo Showkali and Gabriel are from the American culture, and tipping is such a big deal. I think that goes beyond black tax.
Tipping is real time. You don't send money, and it's not habitual.
I think it is.
Tipping is not habitual to the same person. You realize the people you send money don't go beyond 10. They're the same people repeatedly. And you'll do it as if it's routine. You're a student in Kabianga University, your mother in Gishagi, your brother is trying to bet for Chelsea tonight, asked for 100
So
shillings.
you have a group of people
Yes,
who continually depend on you.
And that's why taxing M-Pesa is not the right thing to do, because M-Pesa is not income, it's transit, it's a highway, it's a money highway. Money coming in M-Pesa is not income, it's money moving.
That's true.
You talked about tipping, and I don't think he understood tipping, or maybe I did not understand it. And I like you bringing that point, because you see the culture of tipping. We are talking about how different cultures react to money. You see, America, we tip. When I'm talking about tipping, we tip. If I go and eat food somewhere, a restaurant, if I don't tip, I will actually feel very, very bad. Not Kenyans. You guys don't tip.
Kenyans tip, actually.
Oh, coins.
No, we tip only that it starts later in the day. In a pub, from 10 tipping starts.
Bro.
Because then you don't see your balance clearly.
You see the tipping culture? You see the tipping culture I'm talking about? The tipping culture I'm talking about? Bro, I live here now. Kenyans don't tip for and this is something that needs to change for our employees. Make people feel good after you eat. Tip na wacha kitu kubwa. Wacha kitu kubwa. Tip the workers. Tip whoever gave you the service. You see, that I'm glad we are talking about this, because that is one thing that Kenya has to change. We need to start tipping our employees.
So you eat food, let's say the bill is 7,000. Kitu kubwa ni pesa ngapi hapo?
I'll mtampatia 100 for a tip. 10%. I have to give her 10% tip at least.
100. Si hiyo sasa hata ungeacha.
$100. I'm talking about dollars.
So in a bill of 7,000 shillings, you tip 11,000 shillings. Ama 12,000 shillings.
I'm calculating in dollars. Whatever amount you eat, give them 10%.
Or whatever amount.
Tip them 10%.
10%.
Yeah. They'll feel good. Hata wewe utafeel poor. M-Pesa, I don't really think, and I don't want to counter-argue I've seen M-Pesa grow. Actually, when I was in America, I created a company that was called M-Pesa USA. Me and another Indian guy. And we started sending money from America the first time from another country to Kenya through M-Pesa. The first product was mine. But, women here started calling Safaricom. Oh, Troiwa mwene kikole to M-Pesa USA. Hey, they came for me all the way for copyright infringement. Wakanipeleka koti, and it had to be stopped. The reason I think M-Pesa became successful is because of, look at the Fibadas. This is a country of vibadas, man. And nobody talks about these women in this circle, all these vibadas. They are the ones that fuel M-Pesa.
But then again, I think I would partially agree with Frank's opinion, because when you think about it, like the question is, kwani there are no vibandas in Tanzania, there are no vibandas in these other countries.
But they are also
in
communal.
fact, like the root of why this system is there, you trace it back to a certain culture of how people relate with money. Like, it's usual for me, it's the first time I'm hearing you talk about giving, okay, for lack of a better, let's say free money in terms of tipping.
Yes.
But the culture of send me something or send someone something is what you can trace to the ease of how do I send it to you. And
Yes.
that could be attributed, and I think I'll go check on that. That can be attributed to how the platform grows.
Yes. The kasha comes in, the Kisii kasha, they help each other a lot. I
It's
think
a Kenyan
the
thing.
Kikuyu too.
It's a Kenyan thing.
Yeah, it's a Kenyan thing.
Yes, it's a Kenyan thing.
But I think that is not why it is not succeeding in America or other places.
Why do you think it's not
It's
succeeding?
the banking the regulations, the cartels in the banks, the banking cartels in America. You cannot, it's so hard to go through. So anytime you come to do with something with money, they're already on top of you. But here, Kenya was gripped by this new technology that is pioneering in the entire world. And before the banking cartel could put its foot in, the M-Pesa had already started to grow.
Frank, I also think this is an idea that makes sense, because when you think about it, M-Pesa made Kenyans bankable. You remember?
Yeah.
M-Pesa made Kenyans bankable in the sense that there were so many regulations to open a bank account. In fact, they had minimum balance operating, and people, as in this gave people a platform to store your money without going through the bureaucracy of banking, which means this could also be an argument that holds water.
Now, before banks got into mobile banking, they needed an app. M-Pesa, in its initial formative days, was based on an USSD. Star something hash, SIM toolkit, you remember?
Yes.
Nokia is on Dogo.
Yes.
You get.
Yes.
But you could not get to, banks did not take USSD seriously. And again, for you to think about a bank, if I tell you, pay me by a bank, what do you think about? It should be a good amount of money.
Yes.
Yes, so banks were late on the game, but again, the complexity of a bank, again, right now, how many people have bank accounts? Compare that to how many people have M-Pesa. You see, it came as a communication tool. Then via an SMS and text, you have money. And that text represents money. And you can go to an agent, a person you know, because those are businessmen we know. Uko home, uncle yangu in his house, nimuonyeshe your text. There's another text corresponding to that in his phone, and I have money. And it's not big money. It's money for survival. 100 bob, you know. You'll be amazed how many households are supported by one person in a city. Could be 8 people. So, and these 8 people, they don't expect much from you. The median income in rural Kenya is like 200, 300 shillings. The median income in Nairobi, 500, 1,000. So, if you send somebody 100 shillings, you have sent him half of what he could have worked for. This could be a sick relative, an aging relative, a student in school. So this 500 you earned from Jengo, you can send 5 people. A bank cannot facilitate that in the formative area. So they came to do catch up to M-Pesa. But again, still, you realize
The
M-Pesa
cultural
is the cultural
aspect.
thing. Because I can't send you from KCB to KCB, I can't get. But Safaricom, everybody has Safaricom in his pocket.
So it's still tied to our culture of like how we relate to money with each other.
How can I help my brother easy?
I think wadau pia wata contribute on this one. Please tell us what you think, if at all the success of our money platforms is based on our culture as a people. As we close with Gabriel. Gabriel, please. And by the way, tumeambia running for Tetu Bobasi. Gabriel is a friend of the show. Gabriel runs Precast Engineering Limited. We have 2 conversations actually. You can find them in these cards zenye ziko hapa ama in the links hapa and also in the description below. Precast Engineering Limited, very interesting building technology. He runs that, and his story is also fascinating. We also have an episode featuring Gabriel in the description below. So Gabriel, we close with you. Please tell us about how you deal with the entitlement to your money because you have it.
There are 2 things that are very fundamental. Free thing, there will never be enough. If you are giving free thing out, you will not be able to satisfy the people that need them. But also, social responsibility is a part of our life as a society. So it becomes a question of like, if you have to give, why are you giving? It's not who you are giving, why are you giving?
If you have to give, why are you giving?
Why are you giving? I have a story I never share with anyone. It's just me and who know it and the person that happened. I was coming from Nairobi, going to Madiga, and the taxi I was using on the highway on Westland ran out of gas. And this young man, we have about another 300 meters to go to the gas station. So he leave me in the car, and he took Mtungi to go and get the gas for 200. And then he come and put it in. And then I asked him, I said, man, look, this is a business. You're supposed to be filling up your tank, and before you hit the road, you put our life at risk. And he said, I have a young family, and always it's just like what I get, that's what I survive on. So I didn't have the money. So I said, okay. So when he fueled the car, we went to the gas station. So I tell attendant, I said, give him full tank. And he said, no, I don't have that money. And then I said, no, it's just on me. Don't worry about it. Put it a full tank. So he put a full tank. And he was so happy and so joyful. So to me, it came across, this is a guy trying to feed his family. He takes his responsibility seriously, but is lacking opportunity. Maybe the same money, somebody very close to me would have need that money. But the same reason why you need that money might just help that one person alone. Mm-hmm. But when you are helping this taxi driver to go and a whole week without now spending, he will be able to make enough money to be able to support his family.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like I've done my moral obligation as a member of the society. Maybe if you're going to see the show, you're going to comment who he is. So it's let give to be a gift of purpose. One of the other problems that is letting us down as a society in America or other European countries, this is where the social benefit come in. It go in the term of taxes. You pay the taxes to the government, and the government knows those who cannot work, those who have disability, and the government will go and distribute those benefits. In Africa, we don't have that.
Okay.
So this is where these social taxes, they start coming in. So it's not a question of if they are right or they are wrong. It becomes a purpose of why are you doing it? Why are you giving? You know. So like in my country of birth now, you will see if you are in the city, you will see people coming from the villages, and they will just come outside your house. And these are strong people. They can go and hunt. They can go and cut trees and do something.
Yes.
That is whereby it has to be discouraged in that manner. But when it is transforming the society, there is nothing wrong for us as a society to do our social responsibilities. And this is why, for the gentlemen who are running for the office, these are the transformation that we need for this country and the continent.
Yes.
To be able to move on, we need to be able to build a smarter, a better system to take care of our people. So when you see the world has the low opinion of us as an African, it's just because we cannot take care of our needy one. And when it comes, now it becomes a choice whereby you as Dr. Kingori, you have to give, I have to give. They know their regulation. But if there was a system, a smart system whereby we elected people that care about building a system, and then we start having better societies. So if you see now, you see like a country like Kenya with a lot of potential.
Yes.
But it's like we are like a woman in a bad relationship, abusive relationship.
Yes.
We still run back to the same man, but you know that they're gonna beat on us. But because there's one thing, maybe it's about bait or something we like about them so much, we don't mind about sacrificing everything to bring that person to our life again. And these are the transformations that need to be done.
Okay, I think that's a very interesting story. The taxi guy, was that long ago?
I think it was about I've been about 3 or 4 months, and I think he's actually from Nyanza. Yeah.
I was about to ask you if his name was Alex.
It might be. I will see on my Safaricom.
Because I know an Alex. I know an Alex who he can trust a car. The light, the thing that tells you, he can trust it from Nakuru to Nairobi. Hii itaenda hii. And he has experience with that. I have not seen someone trust an empty tank like Alex.
I think because your show, they go so far, I would not be surprised if this person not going to come up. It's going to come up.
They will probably come out. I thought it was close. There's an Alex we know who can really scare you with an empty tank from experience.
It was actually quite scary because you know the way people, and they know lane, they know service lane. There's service lane, but it's very small. I said, man, we can get hit and die just because of just small fuel.
Exactly.
But he said, what can I do? I have to feed my family and I don't have enough fuel. Okay. So I can't. I felt sympathy for him.
If that guy was not Alex, he should meet Alex. 300 meters and the tank cannot go.
Yeah.
Aye. Sawa. Thank you very much. All the best in your race for office. Tetu, Bobasi, all the best. We wish you all the best. Wakenya ndio watadecide. Gabriel nimewambia. Gabriel Maketh runs Precast Engineering Limited. Very good feedback from the episodes tumefanya featuring in conjunction with Precast Engineering Limited. Kama you're interested in building technology that can subsidize your construction costs by at least 30%. And it is demonstrable. We have done episodes about it. There's been conversations about it, and it's provable, and it is something that can be done. It is possible. I'm actually in the process of applying the same that we are talking to you about. Feel free to reach out to Precast Engineering Limited. Our team has made sure that mko na contact zao hapa. Watu wa Bobasi wamekuona, watu wa Tetu wamekuona. Si ndio?
Na Nyeri.
We can only wish you all the best nyinyi. Sindio?
Pressure,
Dr. Kwanza wewe umesema ati when you give you multiply. Watu wa Bobasi kijana wenu wamesema akona kakitu and he has confessed on camera. Kuleni ndio you multiply. Asanteni sana for coming through and thank you for helping us make this episode possible. By the way, Gabriel, tumemambush tu. We were having a meeting and this episode was inspired by something he said on the show. If you watch that episode utaona. And we ambushed him to come on na amekubali na amerepresent. Asanteni sana.
Karibu.
Thank you, Dr.
Thanks for having us.
Asante sana.
All right. Okay.
That was good.